AM Weekend Show, and we are going to be having our very first conversation. Like I told you, we're going to be having a representative from Nigerian Association of Radiography Students, and we're going to be unpacking the story of Nars. We're going to be finding out about the beginnings, how it started, the heroes, and of course, look at the legacy that it is still, building, the legacy that it's still building, and the impact that has been made. And joining us for that conversation this morning is the very beautiful Mmesoma Maryjane Ezenwata, the Vice President, External Affairs. You're welcome to the show, ma.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Green suits you. You look so stunning.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I'd like us to start here, please. What is Nars? Give us a proper introduction of Nars, please.
All right. So sometime last week, a guy chatted me up and was like, "Hi, good morning. Are you the Maryjane?" And for a sec, I lost my balance. And then I remembered, oh, I'm not owing any back. Then I said, yeah, I'm Maryjane, but might not be the Maryjane. And I said, okay, are you the Maryjane flyer posted in the group? And I said, oh yeah, I am the Maryjane. Any problem? And I said, no. Just like he never knew that a national body was in existence. He only knew of the association in his own school.
Okay.
And then he asked, what's Nars? And I know majority are asking the same questions, and some are hearing about it for the first time. So Nars is a body that governs students from various universities of radiography in the country. It's an association that provides the room for students to connect, to collaborate, and to exchange ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a national association.
Of course.
But do we still have branches in different schools?
Of course. In various schools, University of Nigeria campus, like University of Finizé, Ahmadu Bello University, and so on. They have their own student association.
Okay.
So is it a new association since people are asking questions?
Of course, it's not a new association. National Association of Radiography Students, as it was known then, was established in the mid-70s.
Okay.
By the students from Federal School of Radiography, Lagos, which is now known as the University of Lagos, and then the School of Radiography, UCH, Ibadan. It tried to around 1987 and collapsed. Radiography as a profession had this issue of record keeping. That was why documents on how the association started, who led it to know where to be found. But regardless, we took it upon ourselves to make research to find how the association was revived after it collapsed in the year 1987. Then, in 1991, at the University of Nigeria campus, the then president of the Radiography Student Association, known as Professor Felix Erondo, took it upon himself to galvanize students from the various universities of radiography at that time.
Okay.
Then it was just 3 schools. University of Nigeria campus, University of Calabar, and the then Federal School of Radiography, Lagos. You're trying to form a new association, of course, encountering some challenges. We're going to mention about a few.
Okay, let me hear the challenges.
Okay, then you had this challenge of trying to get students to buy into the idea. And this was happening at the time when there was a dichotomy between graduates from Federal School of Radiography, Lagos, and then university graduates. Then, the acceptable standard to be recognized as a radiographer was the diploma in the College of Radiography, Lagos, London. And this was a diploma that was issued by the Federal School of Radiography. So university graduates who were obviously new in the market were finding it difficult to be accepted by their colleagues who were already in the civil service. So students knowing about this, and then you trying to come and convince them, oh, we have a common ground, we have a common goal, we are going to be professionals at the time, was a major problem.
Challenge. Okay.
We also had this challenge of trying to gain the support of the lecturers, because then the lecturers were not trained in Nigeria, they were trained outside. So they had their own style of living. Then they were seen as being too radical. He also had this financial challenge, because then he was planning to host the students from the trade schools. And then, their numbers were relatively small. So trying to raise funds to host this convention was a difficult hurdle. Then someone might ask, was the name Nars the first name that came to his mind trying to form the association. Of course, he didn't find the association alone. He had persons like Dr. Femi and so on. But then, in the year 1992, during the convention at the University of Nigeria Local Campus, the name National Association of Radiography Students was unanimously adopted.
Okay.
Yeah, because it resonated among majority of the teams, and then it encompasses their vision at that time. So someone can say that the process of forming the association started in the year 1991, but then came into existence in the year 1992.
Okay.
So after the convention in the year 1992, he handed over to Dr. Ben, who led the association. In the year 1993, Dr. Femi Olagunjun took over. He became the president of the association. He led the association judiciously, upholding the vision of how the association was founded, why the association was founded. Then he handed over to Dr. Bala Emmanuel. After the government of Dr. Bala Emmanuel, the association collapsed again.
Wow.
Then it was resuscitated in the year 2006 at the then ARN conference in Enugu. Mr. Augustine Obua from the University of Calabar organized students at the conference then, where he made the suggestion of forming a national association body that would comprise students from various universities of radiography at that time.
Okay.
So
at what point was the whole thing now established? Because I know it's a very long history, and we may not have enough time. So I just want to know, at what point did NAS start functioning as NAS, and everybody, at what point did all the universities, come together under NAS?
And in addition to what she said, what's the vision of NAS?
The vision of NAS is uniting the whole students of
radiography
in the country. Creating a common ground where they can connect, where they can collaborate, and so on. So we can see that the association thrived from that 2006 to date without any break.
Wow. Okay. That is amazing. Now, I'd like to know what, you said, because of course, if students are coming together to thrive, students are coming together, if we're all radiography students and we're together in an association, it makes the whole thing easy. It makes, so I'd like to know, what are the, do I say helps now that students are able to get from NAS, apart from
coming together,
apart from radiography itself, studying together,
any other extra thing.
What are the functions? What are the things that students stand to gain in the organization?
Of course, there are many things to gain. I mean, the association has created room for opportunities, for connection in national and international, just like my office, Vice President External Affairs. I'm more like represent NAS in other countries like Ghana, Tanzania, even in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and also, it creates a room for students, those that have side hustles, to sell their business. And even in the course of the convention that is being hosted yearly at the school, holding the office of the president, let's say maybe in the East, all the students from other schools convene at the East. Let's say a student from UNEC emerges as the president. Every student from other schools converges there for the convention. It creates a room for us to learn new cultures, we meet new people, we learn different groups, and then so on.
So why is it important to celebrate NAS?
It is important to celebrate NAS because the pioneers, they made sacrifices for the association to be brought into the limelight.
Okay.
Yeah, so they want being celebrated.
Okay. Now I want to know, this happens to be, radiography happens to be the course of what Chiku wanted to study.
So
she would have studied in her past life, but she will still study it in her next life, probably. She loves the course. Yeah. So I'm just curious now, what would you say the challenges would be for the average graduates from radiography? Let's say I studied radiography and I've graduated. Are there jobs available? What would you say the challenge a radiography graduate would face, and how is NAS solving it?
Okay. Now, first of all, radiography is a beautiful profession, and it's a creative one in the healthcare system. I mean, it's all about using radiation to create images of the internal structures of the human body, which is the diagnostic part of it. We have the therapeutic part of it.
Okay.
Using the same radiation to treat cancers, and we have the industrial part of it as well.
Okay.
Now, in the case of if a graduate trying to get it, of course, we have many diagnostic centers in the country. We have almost all the federal hospitals have diagnostic department. So there are
But are these jobs available?
Of course, they are available
And
for the
we
graduate.
have many, every year we have over 100 graduates from a particular university, let me say university from the East. And how many federal universities, many federal teaching hospitals do we have to accommodate these people? So what other options do we have with NAS?
Well, I don't know about the number of federal hospitals that we have, but then NAS also creates a room that helps you get acquainted. You know, there's this thing called Japa syndrome.
Okay.
Students,
Exactly. Let's get into it. Yes.
Students, when they graduate, they like to travel outside to practice. So NAS also create a room whereby they are being groomed on necessary requirements, on how to go about the registration.
So
That's
NAS is
one of the benefits.
in
of
other
NAS.
ways, NAS is supporting anybody that wants to travel and leave Nigeria and where we suffer a brain drain.
Not really, but then you know you cannot like stop someone from doing what he or she wants to do. So all you can do is trying to make it less harder for the person.
Okay, so NAS makes it easy for
Yeah,
them. Okay,
yeah.
but here in Nigeria, no, I mean, it's a beautiful one. Oh. It's beautiful. We've talked about it over and over again. If Nigeria is not favoring you for now,
Find somewhere
you know,
else.
even though we try to look at it holistically, because if everybody leaves Nigeria, how are we going to survive? But at the end of the day, people really, really need to survive. So I'm not against the whole idea of, you know, going abroad, Japan and all of that. But my concern is, are there things that NAS is doing here in Nigeria to make it easy? Because people only go when the things are not working here, you know. So that's why I'm asking the questions about what NAS is putting in place to make it easy. Because if it's just throughout school, okay, NAS association throughout school, because we need to give people incentives. If people, if I'm dreaming to study radiography now, these conversations like this would make me be more encouraged to go for it. So what do you think that NAS is doing, putting in place here in Nigeria to make sure that at least graduates, I know I'm saying graduates, it's easier when you're still a student, you know, so yeah. Are there such plans?
Well, for now, you know, as we move forward, opportunities might be created for students to get their dream jobs at a very nice place.
Okay.
But for now, we all are trying to graduate, and then everybody's trying to do what he or she wants.
Okay, so this NAS association, is it just for undergraduates in school?
Yes, it's a student body just for undergraduates.
Okay, so
and then there is an association that governs the whole radiographers in Nigeria.
Whether graduates or undergraduates?
Just for professionals, those already practicing.
Okay, people practicing.
For graduates, yeah. Which is Association of Radiography Students, Association of Radiographers of Nigeria.
Okay.
ARN is an association that governs the whole radiographers in the country who are already practicing.
Okay, that one is different from NAS.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is basically for students. All right.
Okay. I'd like to know some of the projects that NAS have, you know, planned out for next year, probably.
Well, you know, the government more like only lasts for a year. So I can only talk about the one that have been hosted so far.
That's
I can't talk about the one that is currently.
Okay.
So since this government came into place February this year, led by Arafat Abdul Ganiyu, it has made efforts to unite students, create awareness, trying to involve students who are not yet involved in NAS. And then we've also helped, you know, there was this time when there was a flood issue, I don't know, mid-degree or so. We also extended our hands to students who were affected.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's beautiful. Okay.
So I would like to ask this last question.
Okay.
The positions in the government, is it paid?
Okay. Nars election is being done in a way that you have the zeal to contest, you declare your interest, you reach out to students and the various universities, we call them local chapters, and then you do your campaign, and then by God's grace,
politics,
God may
elections,
have
and
it,
all.
you will win.
So when you win, does your seat have any pay?
No. There's nothing like that.
No. I just want to understand. Let's balance things.
There's nothing like that.
Okay. I'm not going to say what I
let me know if I'll go back to
serve
study.
the students, to make things better for the students,
Okay.
academically and otherwise.
That's beautiful. So it's good to know that it does not have anything to do with money.
Yeah.
I think I have
with clear intentions to help.
Now that
So
Ogochukwu has asked a final question, I have two final questions. First of all, I don't know, out of curiosity, I want to know, radiography, people practicing radiography, how well are they being paid? How well are they being paid in Nigeria?
Those practicing radiography in Nigeria are being paid well.
You sure?
Yeah.
What's
I'm
the
sure.
range?
They're paid well.
What's
Yeah.
the range? Like, what range do you think
It
they are paid?
depends.
There should be a range for a medical doctor. There is a range of 150 to something. You understand? So, as a medical radiographer, what range do you think they
Okay, we
earn?
can say from 200.
So they earn more than doctors. Wow, interesting.
But then they are
Ogochukwu,
being
it
paid
depends
well.
now.
They are being paid well.
She's the one in the radiography. She said they are being paid well.
Let me understand the range and know
Even
if
like
I
say this
should
radiography where
rethink.
you know study.
Honestly speaking, anybody that knows me know about that, but it's okay. I think
Yeah.
I like where I am now.
But
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. So the final question I have is it possible to be a radiography student and not be a part of the association? Because you talked about sensitizing students to be a part of the association. So I'm wondering, is it possible that I'm in a school studying radiography and I'm not part of the association?
Okay, there are some schools that just started offering the course medical radiography. So it's with now they just started. So it's gonna take a whole process of trying to get them involved. So even before they get involved, you can't say that they are part of NACS. But then we'll always make efforts to reach out to those schools, reach out to those students to get them involved in NACS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a school thing, not necessarily for the schools that already have NAS. Every
Established
student is
NAS.
automatically
In
involved.
NACS site, of course.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Okay,
Okay.
so because the next question I was going to ask is if, how you now encourage students to be a part of it. But since you said it's a school thing and then you, the leadership of NAS, try your best to get those schools that are just beginning to be a part of it, then I think that is powerfully amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for being
All right, guys, that was Ezenwata Mmesoma Maryjane, who has just talked to us about the NAS, the NAS movement, the Nigerian Association of Radiography Students. So if you're like Ogochukwu here, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you're like Ogochukwu and your dream is to study radiography, I am rooting for you. And I think with this conversation, you found out whether it's a good idea. And like Mmesoma said, they are being paid well. They are paid well. So please don't let anybody discourage you. Go for it. And of course, be a part of NAS in a bit. Up next on the AM show is our next conversation. We are going to be looking at the Southeast Business and Investment Summit, all that it holds for us. And that's why you shouldn't go anywhere. The AM Weekend Show will be right back.